Hey guys, welcome to a whole new series called Extra. In this series, we're going to talk about a potpourri of different things concerning investments. Today, we're going to talk about the Chowder Rule. Now, don't worry, it doesn't actually have anything to do with chowder or soup. So the Chowder Rule is a set of criteria developed by a user named Chowder in the application and website called Seeking Alpha. And this is a tool used in selecting dividend growth stocks with a good growth potential in the future. All right. So this rule or criteria bases itself on two important things. The first one is the safety margin. The safety margin is sort of the cushion you want to give yourself when either evaluating something or buying something. Let's say a stock trade is at around $10 and you know it's worth at least $10, but you want to give yourself sort of a safety cushion, and you're going to say, I want to buy it with a 30% safety margin. You're going to try and pinpoint a buy-in price of around $7 instead of paying full price for what it's worth. Now, the second thing is the compounded annual growth rate. Now, the S&P in general, the S&P 500 in general, has a compounded annual growth rate of around 8%. Actually, it's a little more. It's around 10% since the 1920s, all right? So that's sort of the baseline we're going to use for our company. When we invest, we're going to try to beat the market. We're going to try to have as an objective an 8% compounded annual growth rate. So, the rules themselves. If a dividend-paying stock is giving you a yield under 3%, then you want that yield added to the 5-year dividend growth rate to be at least over 15%. Now, we've covered the dividend growth rate in another video, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. So this makes sense, guys. If you have a low yield, then you want to make sure that if the ball is rolling slowly, you want it to pick up speed very, very fast so that it gets somewhere eventually, all right? So if you have a low initial yield, you want that yield to increase by a lot every single year in order to be significant. Rule number 2, if you have a dividend yield that is already over 3%, then you can accept a lower growth rate so that the sum of the yield plus the 5-year dividend growth rate can be equal to over 12%. That would make you pass the Chowder Rule. Any of these guys would make you pass the Chowder Rule. Third rule, and the last rule, is if you invest into a utility stock that pays dividend, then you can accept a yield plus a 5-year dividend growth rate to just be over 8%. Now, 8% is the compounded annual growth rate, so you can tolerate a safety margin of 0, and that is for microeconomic reasons surrounding utility stocks that we're not going to go into now. Now, the safety margin for every one of those is going to be as such: 87.5% for rule number 1, which is optimal, 50% for rule number 2, which is very, very solid as well, giving you a solid cushion there for both of these. But as we said, for utility stocks, you can tolerate a safety margin of 0 because there are microeconomic reasons that surround utility stocks that, again, we're not going to go into that right now. So, when to use this Chowder Rule? The Chowder Rule should be used when you're done doing your research, doing your analysis, evaluating different stocks individually, and you've narrowed it down to, 12, 15, or 20 different stocks that you would want to invest in, but you only have the capital to, say, build a significant position in 5 or 10 of them. That's something you can use as a final step in your evaluation, but it's definitely not something you want to use in the initial step of your evaluation because it's not going to be very useful to you. It's just a specialized tool that you can keep on your belt and use at the end if you're hesitating between a few stocks, and try to analyze the effects that the rule is having, or what affects the rule in general. So the yield and the 5-year dividend growth rate. And you want to try to reason that out. Why would I want to invest in this stock if it has a lower yield and a medium to high dividend growth rate when I can invest into another stock that already has a moderate to high yield but only a low to moderate dividend growth rate? And try to analyze the sort of the dynamics surrounding the dividend, and try to see where it can go in the future and why they're not evolving the same way as another company would be evolving in the same market or in the same industry, for example. All right, so I'm going to leave this video here, guys. I hope this was useful to you. I know it's definitely something that I use on a pretty regular basis, but I can't say that it definitely affects the way I invest that much. Maybe I've tweaked a few investments here and there based on this Chowder Rule, but nothing major. Like I said, it's a specialized tool that you want to keep around your belt for use as you need it. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe for any upcoming video, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter if you want to be notified as soon as another video comes out. Have a good one, guys.